Hey guys, welcome back. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Unfortunately, last month our turn went a little bit longer than we had expected. I was hoping to post some Helm's Deep. It'll probably be coming soon. Until then, I want to just kind of give you an update at the end of turn 5. We had a couple of battles that we had to finish up on turn 5. Then I also wanted to post, while I'm doing this, just a quick tutorial about how to play the strategy battle game. I got some requests on of some subscribers actually wanting to know if I could go through some turns and stuff like that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that too real quick. So basically turn 5 we are looking at, if you look at here the point values, you can see that it's still fairly close. Fallen Realms and the Dwarven Holds at the bottom there are 255 and 225 respectively. They've just been growing and growing. So, everyone else is pretty much neck and neck. We've got next round, we've got a lot of action that's going to happen up here. Isengard was defeated obviously here, and they fell back to here, so we've got a couple of armies here that can make some moves into a couple of strongholds in Fangorn and Mirkwood possibly. Definitely Helm's Deep is probably going to happen next turn. Eomer's army was crushed pretty bad down here, and Saruman's army was hardly touched at all, so he's definitely going to make a move into Helm's Deep next round. Not a whole lot going on down here. I'm thinking next turn we're going to see a lot of action though. Mordor's ready to push out of the Black Gates. We've got the Dwarven army finally arriving here. Boromir's army in Osgiliath has got to make a decision. We've got two armies in the Fallen Realms that are probably either going to push into Osgiliath and Minas Tirith, so Boromir has to figure out where he's going to defend. He'll probably move to his capital, obviously, which he'll have to deal with these Fallen Realm armies who have yet to see combat, so these are fairly large armies. So that's it from a world map perspective. Just real quick here, I'm going to show you basically a really inexpensive way to make a gaming table that I'm going to use for the tutorial. I just got one of these fold-out tables from Home Depot. It's basically one of those half tables here that it's got the legs on it, and you can just basically fold it up when you're not using it. So I've got that, and then I bought some sheets of the 2-inch insulation from Home Depot or Lowe's. You can get them from either place like that. It's like $8 a sheet. And what I did was I put some, put two of them together, and I use just duct tape for the seam, kind of like a hinge, all the way down. So that makes a perfect lightweight, lightweight table there, and it's, like I said, it's the perfect dimensions there of 4 feet across by I believe that's 6 feet long. 6x4. They come in 8-foot sheets, so you can cut off 2 inches or 2 feet along the edge there and use those insulation for a terrain or whatever you want to use. And then I bought the grass mat that Games Workshop makes. It's the perfect size there, and the grass mat's like $30. So you're looking at the table, which is about, depending if you can get them used or on sale, about $30. The grass mat's $30, and the foam is literally, like I said, like $8 a sheet. So for $70, $80, you can make a gaming table that's easily moved about and set up rather quickly. It is a little bit flimsy, but I mean, if you got gamers that aren't leaning on the table or whatnot, it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to set this up. We're going to do a real quick tutorial scenario here, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, welcome back. I got a quick scenario set up here. Basically I got just some terrain set up, some mountains, some ruins of Osgiliath, a broken wall, a couple of trees and some hills. We're going to do Moria versus Gondor here. Basically I'm just going to do, for the tutorial purposes, it's going to be a fight to the death. So what I got here, basically what we need to start playing with is we've got a rule book here. This is just a small rule book that comes with Mines of Moria. I have this mock-up sheet that I made here. It's basically got, this is a missile chart. It gives me an idea of how far range is depending on what type of bow you're using, like short bow, orc bow, elf bow. The movement for the types of units in the game, like for example, men can move 6 inches, an eagle can move 12 inches, hobbits move 4 inches, fell beast can move 12. So I just got these. This is kind of a quick reference sheet. It's basically a compilation of the charts that you'll find in this book, but I put it all in one sheet so it makes it easy to follow. This is the wound chart. This is really important. This tells you the strength value of your units versus the defense value of the person you're striking against, and it tells you, if you cross-reference the two of them, if you have strength 3 versus a defense 2 unit, all you need is a 4 or better to roll to wound. So you can find these charts in the back of, if you look at it, that's basically what you're looking at right here, at the very back of the basic rule book. I just like to keep this separate just because it's easy to use, so I just photocopied that off of there. I've got army roster sheets, which you can download off of Games Workshop's website here. This is just kind of a nice way to keep track of the stats of your units, so you don't have to constantly refer to the book. It also gives you, if you look, you could get the unit's description, the point value, the fight, strength, defense, attacks, wounds, courage, and then a spot for the war bands if you want to say which war band they're in, and then what type of special abilities they have. And then for that war band, then you can put other units. For this scenario, I've chosen about 650 points. So for evil side, they're going to go with 2 units. So basically, when you're dealing with breaking and retreating, that type of stuff, my army is so small that I can break at 50%, which is if they kill one of my 2 units, I'll be broken. But I'm kind of banking on the fact that the Balrog's courage of courage 7, he's never going to flee. So Gondor is going to have an uphill battle. They're going to have to kill the Balrog and the Watcher in the Water. So we're going to run two big monsters here. The Balrog is 400 points. The Watcher in the Water is 250. So we're looking at 650 points here. So for my deployment, the Balrog he rolled well, so he decided to deploy 6 inches from the center of the table there, so he's already up on these hills here. So he is already coming through this little causeway here into Gondor. Gondor has, on their war sheet, they have 4 war bands. Basically what I'll go through with them is we've got Warband 1, which is going to consist of, you've got Damrod here, which is the hero, and then he's got 10 Rangers of Gondor. 2 of them will have spears. So that's my ranged unit. They're just probably going to sit up on this hill, get as many shots off as they can, and they'll come down off the hill and enjoy or engage in melee. I don't think they're going to enjoy it, but second warband here, we've got Faramir, Captain of Gondor, and he's got 3 Knights of Minas Tirith with him, so I'm going to use him possibly to flank once I get us around. Also, we've got another warband here, is Beregond. He's a captain of Gondor. He's inexpensive, but he gets the job done. He's got 12 Knights of Minas Tirith with him there. And lastly, we've got Boromir, Captain of the White Tower. He's going to have the Banner of Gondor, and with him are 6 Guards of the Fountain Court. So we've got 4 warbands of Gondor. Their total points is, it's kind of blurry here, but total points is 643. We've got 35 units in this army. We break at 16 units, and we're defeated at 8 units. Once we hit 25% of our forces, we flee the battlefield. So we're going to see if we can beat the forces of evil here with Gondor, and we'll just go step by step. Another thing to keep in mind too, we've got dice. You can see here I've got some white dice, and then I've got some other different colored dice. The reason I've got keep a couple of different colors is when you're rolling, especially when you're dealing with heroes, when you're rolling, you want to make sure that you keep your heroes dice, when you're rolling them together, you want to keep the hero dice where you can see it, so that way if you know you need to spend might, which is part of the game, you can spend might to change your rolls. You know which dice is the hero's dice you can spend might on. You cannot spend might on your generic attacks, but you can spend might on your hero's attacks. So if you really needed that 6 and you have enough might, you can change this 3 that I rolled into a 6. So I'm going to keep that over here. For evil side, I don't really have, I have 1 might with the Watcher in the Water, but he's got a special ability called From the Deep, so he doesn't really show up yet.
I have to roll after I declare which round he shows up. I got to roll, and then we deploy him basically in the middle of the battlefield, and then from there I can start rolling him. But I'm just going to keep the evil dice all pretty much black because the Balrog doesn't have might. He's got 1 might, but they're easy enough to discern who's attacking where because they only got 2 units. So we'll go ahead and start off with the beginning turn. We've rolled deployment, so we deployed our troops. They're on the battlefield. We're ready to start. We're going to see who wins priority. Good versus evil. I'll do evil as black. Good is the white dice. And then I've got this little marker here, priority marker. Just tells us that's good. And this side here is going to be evil. So we figure out who has priority. And priority basically says for that turn who gets to go first. So you have different phases of the turn. We're going to roll priority first. Okay, we've got 2 1s. In the case of a tie, at the beginning of the game, good will always have priority in the case of a tie. So good is going to have priority, so I'll just mark that here as good. And then we'll start with round 1. We're going to do the movement phase, and then we go to the shoot phase, and then the fight phase. Now magic can be used during the movement phase. I do not have any casters here, and I really don't have any casters on evil, so we're not really going to go over magic this turn, but we will do the moves in the shoot phase and the fight phase. So we will do movement first, and I'll be back after I do my moves. Okay, so I've done my movement phase. As you can see here, all of the men of Gondor have moved up their 6 inches. The horses have a move of 10, but I only moved them up half the distance. The reason I did that is because I moved my archers up half their distance up top here. Archers can move half their distance and then still get a shot off. So they moved a couple of inches up just to get a better angle on the Balrog. But if I get my guys in front of my archers, because these are good units, they will not fire into combat if there are good units in the way. So they're just going to hold back. I'm going to try and get a round or 2 of combat off while the Balrog closes in on my units. So I've got 10 archers and Damrod, their commander. So that's actually 11 bow shots at the Balrog. Now the Balrog also has a range shot here, which I didn't think about, but now that I'm looking at it, he does have a range shot. It's 6 inches. So I'm just going to grab this protractor real quick. It's 6 inches in length. It's kind of a nice, easy way. A lot of the measurements are in 6 inches, so I use this as kind of a distance measure when I'm not using my little tape measure. But 6 inches is that length. So none of my good guys are within 6 inches of him, so he can't use his lash. But these bow range, the range on the bows, I believe, are let's see, they're 24 inches, so they're clearly in range of the Balrog. So we're going to fire our bows at him. Now we have, the first thing we do is we roll on to hit rolls. So there's no in the ways, which means there's no obstruction between the Balrog and our archers, so we don't have to worry about trying to shoot through a fence or over a tree or something like that. So we're just going to roll our dice here. It's 3+ or better to hit on our rolls. So anything higher than a 3. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, we did some shooting there. We did get a 1 with our hero. There's no real way with his low amount of might that I'm going to bump that, so I'm just going to toss that out. And this one guy did miss too. So we got 2 guys that are sleeping on the job, but the rest of these guys have a hit. So now what we do is we go to the chart and we check, do we wound? Well, let's see. We've got bows, which are strength 2, okay, against the Balrog's defense. Well, the Balrog is built to last. He has defense 9. So, can we wound him? 2 versus a 9. We need a 6 followed up by a 6, which means I got to roll a 6 to wound, and then I got to roll another 6 to actually penetrate. So it's a 6/6. So we're going to go ahead and roll these 9 again to see if we actually wound. So we're going to roll, and as you can see, I got nothing. There's no 6s there. So we did hit him, but it just did not penetrate his armor. At this point, the enemy would get their range shots. He is not within range yet. And then we go to fights. Fights are basically when units are based against each other. We have nobody basing yet. Evil versus good. I'm going to choose to deploy the Watcher in the Water on game turn 2. So what I need is I believe it is a 3+. Let me check. for him to show up. Basically, he's going to pop out of the water. Yes, a 3+. So moving forward, every round I will roll 1 dice. If I get a 3, 4, 5, or 6, he will show up anywhere on the battlefield I want and displace a bunch of models. So I'm going to try and pop him behind the lines of Gondor here and break some stuff up. I might go for the archers, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna try and displace as many models as I can on this line. The archers really can't do much against the Balrog. As you can see, we got 9 shots, but nothing hurt him. So I'm pretty confident he's going to be able to get into the combat here quickly. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll move on to round 2 now. So round 2, again, we roll priority. Last time we had a tie. So if we get a tie now, moving forward, the tie will go to the player that did not have priority last time. Now we can call what's called heroics with your heroes and kind of jump out of order if we want to. It's called a heroic move, heroic combat, that type of thing. So, and you'd use might for that. So we'll go ahead and roll for priority again. And this time evil has it. Evil's got a 6, good guys only got a 4, so now evil gets to go first. So I said I would deploy, so now we're going to roll for our watch in the water. 3, 4, 5, or 6, he shows up. So we're going to roll on here, and we got a 4, so our boy is here. I'm going to deploy him dead center. So we're going to pop him right on these guys. So what he does is he shows up where you want him to, and then he displaces all models around him. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick.